just so that you get a bit of a flavour around what Spotzer does, we provide a full end-to-end white-labelled solution to enterprise-sized businesses that have large databases of SMB customers and that want to provide and provision a service, a digital marketing service to those customers, whether it's websites, SEM, SEO, and a little bit of social. We have about 40 customers or partners globally, and what that does, it gives us a lot of insight around what's happening on a global basis around with our enterprise-sized partners, around how they are best working with their customers, and consequently how we work with them and work with their customers. And over the last couple of years, we've developed a number of tools and built out our technology stack that enables us to be able to improve the customer experience for our partners, which is vitally important for our partners because we are a white labelled solution. So, and typically our partners are in the search and directory space, hosting companies, telcos, and some media businesses. But core is really directory businesses, telcos, and hosting companies. So when we call and talk to our partners' customers, we would talk to them on behalf of that partner as a full white labelled solution. So brand to our partners is front of mind at all times. We are representing and we are their brand. So based off that, we've got some incredible insights on a global basis. And so, you know, we have driven with our partners, because we are a subscription business, so it's critically important for us that when we work with our partners that their churn is reduced. And obviously a key component of that is focusing on quality of service as well as quality of product. So we work with our partners on how can we improve customer satisfaction or an NPS score. So for those of you that are not familiar with NPS, and I would certainly hope that everybody is, but a Net Promoter Score, you know, really can be driven just through asking one simple question to your customer at the end of the service piece. And it's around, you know, would you recommend us to a colleague or to a friend? You can ask many questions, but asking one simple question can give you a lot of insights into that experience. So we focus heavily on the experience end to end, and we build that out with technology and tips and tricks that we've learned through a lot of experience over the years, and we've done the hard yards, and it's always something that's we're innovating. But I think the key is when you're driving an NPS strategy, or you're working with a vendor around an NPS strategy, it needs to be something that's really easy for the customer. And the focus has to be on what's in it for the customer. Yes, it's about improving your service, but just make it really quick and simple. You need to be able to quantify it, so have some real metrics that build around that, and a standardised workflow for collecting the information. And it needs to be benchmarkable. So look at kind of what's in a typical industry, in your industry, and what should you be shooting for. You know, and it's really interesting. You know, with one of our partners, they had a double-digit when we started working with them. They had a double-digit negative NPS number, and fortunately we were able to move that and shift that to be a double-digit positive number. We got it to about 40 as a point, and they just said, okay, well that's great, but we want to get to 70 points. And so then we're raising the benchmark. And then if you look at the likes of Tesla or Apple, you know, that they kind of sit in the NPS brackets in that range. So it's about being aspirational as well. We've driven that into our business. It's changed the culture of our business. You I think up until about 3 years ago, nobody really knew in our business that much about what NPS was. And now it's tied to many of the conversations, all of our training with our people, all of our reporting, and rolls up into the exec team's KPIs. So it's a big focus within our business, being a service-enabled, technology-driven business, and it has to start from the top, and you have to push it down throughout the business. What we do know is that with our partners who've got a great NPS score, that typically they are the market leader. They may, in their category and in their geography. They may not have started there. I think back to one of our partners in Australia, Telstra. They had a terrible reputation across a number of their different product lines. That David Thodey came in as the CEO, and he was the customer service king, is kind of what he was labelled with. He's since moved on from that business, but a fantastic guy, fantastic CEO. And his first front of mind for him was always around NPS, and drove it into the organisation and left a great legacy. Yes, Telstra was always a market leader, and they probably had deeper pockets to be able to invest into the technology that's required to enable that. But that said, they had at one point lost a lot of market share, and now they've regained that back. What's really important to an SMB, what we've learned through our NPS surveys and scoring is core is around having a localised product and service model. It's the simple things, and sometimes you can get tempted to offshore things, outsource things, and that's great. And certainly we're an outsourced vendor and provider. But having a localised experience so that you have a native person speaking to somebody native within in their geography is great, and really does lift the NPS piece. Not having somebody who can just speak a language but isn't native to that country, has a negative result. And sometimes you can be tempted to go one way or the other based on margin, but if you really think about the customer experience, that's kind of what should drive it. Technical enablement, around, what are the tools that you can give your SMB customer from a total experience piece. They're as simple, and I'll talk about that just shortly. And then around, having it driven into your business around quality assurance. So QA is critical to have that seamless quality level, making sure that the whole of your organisation at the back end of it, through all the workflows, everything is time-stamped, mapped against turnaround times. You've got quality elements that are built into your processes. So KPI tracking. Every market's different. We, as I said, we have 40 enterprise-size partners that we work with globally, but key areas are Europe, Australia, and the US. And every market is different. Not one shoe fits each nationality. How we operate in Italy is very different to how we service our partners in Germany or our customers in Germany, even to Holland and obviously Norway, the Nordics, and France and Spain. So each does have its own subtle nuances. There may be a common thread around what we know as being best practice from a workflow management perspective, but how we talk and how we relate to those customers is very different. To the point of having client managers or people on phones, we try to align to make sure that if we're talking to a customer in northern Italy, the person on the phone is from northern Italy. If we're talking to somebody in the Spanish market, we have somebody from Catalonia as opposed to more broadly across the rest of Spain. So trying to localise the agents as well who are speaking to those markets is also a key piece. From a communication perspective, and around the technology piece, we've introduced a number of tools that enable the experience with an SMB to be a lot more easy to deal with. Things like, I remember it wasn't that long ago, many businesses, particularly YP businesses, would have SLAs to return a phone call to a customer within 48 hours, or to return an email within 3 days. That is just not acceptable in this day and age. We drive that if you have a phone call, it has to be returned within 3 to 4 hours, dependent upon time of day. All emails are returned same day after, say, 3 p.m. It needs to be returned by 11 a.m. the next day. So introducing tighter metrics around what's fair and reasonable. What would you expect? I know if I send an email and I don't get a response in that day, I'm furious. And I would expect the same from my teams with our customers. So there's a number of things from a communication piece. Also just relying on email communication with customers or voice communication. Obviously voice communication is far better, but it's very difficult to often get hold of a customer. So SMS communication we've found to be an incredible impact on positive NPS. And we'll talk about that a bit. So from an SMS perspective, when we introduced SMS technology, there was a number of things that it did. Obviously, it was almost an instant reaction from SMB customers, of which we have, 1,000. Just to put this into context, we generate or we publish and produce something in the region of about 5,000 websites a month globally. So we have to have our work processes down pat. We have to have really tight processes so that it works like a real machine. So it's industrial. We term it as industrialised processes with an agency feel, so that the SMB customer is getting a great quality looking product. Typically in our world, it's a website, and maybe there would be a PPC campaign. But when you're working on scale like that, you have to have this sort of stuff really down pat and systems driven as much as you can. What we noticed was that SMBs just were not coming back to emails. So we started to push more. We found better technology solutions for us from an SMS perspective. We were able to put preview links into SMS campaigns that we would blast out to our customers, and they just click, yes, I approve. And it makes it really easy for a customer. What that also does, it reduces cost, which we can pass on to our partners. Which is obviously always a great thing to do. So it makes it a whole lot more profitable by introducing the technology, as long as it's thought through and considered. Even getting down to the level of detail around when you send SMSs. Some small business owners. In fact, I think 66% of business owners, work primarily off their mobile phone in today's world. When you're sending an SMS, you need to send it at the right time of day. So you need to know there's no point sending an SMS to somebody who's running a restaurant at the opening hours of that restaurant. You need to send them either at very early in the morning or maybe in the afternoon. To a plumber, we found that sending SMSs later in the day has a great cut through. We also introduced offering a service where we call customers on Saturday mornings. Initially, we kind of conceptually thought that this would be worth piloting. And to start with, our partners were kind of very much against it because they thought it would have a negative impact. In actual fact, it was the opposite to that. It had a very positive impact. Contacting customers on a Saturday morning, actually when a lot of SMBs, that's when they're doing their paperwork, that's when they're doing some of their work. We then brought in other tools around scheduling tools. So we would send customers an SMS, or we would send them email communication, and that enabled them to book an appointment to speak to one of our people, whether it was speaking to a client manager, a designer, a campaign operator, and that gave a great lift also. Providing customer engagement tools. We developed ourselves. We found that it was a real problem when getting assets from customers, where we needed to get content from a customer to go into a website. It was a really painful experience and quite laborious. You'd have to contact a customer many times. So how could we refine that? And that's when we introduced the SMS piece to drive the customer to a link and then enable them to upload their own content into a content gathering tool. Often, it give me a really bad experience when a customer's trying to email you something, and for whatever reason the files don't come through, the photos don't load properly. So we built our own proprietary content gathering tool and try to make it a seamless experience, an easy experience for the customer, but it also helped us out. It reduced our turnaround time significantly on being able to produce a website in a much quicker time frame. In fact, it reduced it by 30%. We then worked with a number of different quality assurance tools. We set our own benchmarks. We looked at what did we think was industry standards from a KPI perspective around NPS, and then we doubled it. Said, okay, we really want to be a market leader in this space. And it's a real focus for us. I won't say that we're absolutely there yet, but we are well on the track to getting where we want to get to as a business. But I do believe that we are kind of setting a lot of standards globally in that space. So we've built our own QA tool as well. We've integrated some third-party tools into our platform, and then over that layer we've built our own elements as well to enable automation around site ranking, whatever it might be, images loading properly. But that whole QA process, it's a big focus for us. We've got our own internal tool now. We call it Spot On. It needs to be 100% spot on before it goes to a customer, and we kind of building that out, which is a real core piece. So having that strong focus on quality, QA checklists, mapped against product matrices, is core to what we do, and building out the right workflows that enable that. We work, if I look at I'll talk to this as a case study. One of the largest directory businesses in Europe, which is one of our biggest partners, I mentioned earlier, they had a very negative, it was a negative double-digit number from an NPS perspective. And we worked with them collaboratively as a real partnership, which is what you want with a vendor. How can we reduce your churn so it's a better outcome for all of us, and we don't constantly live in this world of pain, but we can have a good experience and a great working relationship together, which is panacea to what everybody wants, and that's where we are now. So we went from a negative NPS, which is where they were starting, and moved that to a positive double-digit number. And it was things around providing a content gathering tool. It was things around SMS communication. It was things around scheduling tools, booking solutions, making it easy for your customer. It's introducing a contact centre software solution that has auto dial and gives you a lot better tracking of your agents who are talking to customers, and providing a premium level of service even though it's over the phone. With one of our other partners, we deal with their premium customers. The whole piece is done over the phone, not face to face. The technology is enabling those businesses to shift in digital transformation, as Nigel was talking to. With this particular partner, those are the key things that drove that growth in NPS. It's providing those technology tools, which we provide. We either build them out or we bring them in and put that as part of our stack. Also providing, we talked to it yesterday, more of a solution-based approach where you have one point of contact. You know, so not only are you talking about, say, websites, but you can talk to your customers around PPC or Google AdWords and Bing, maybe social, maybe their listings on IYP, maybe their Yext listings, you know, and you can build that ad as a one point of contact, and kind of that's where we're heading, and that's where we went to. And you know, with this particular partner, you know, NPS just skyrocketed, and then there's subtle things that you build in. You know, website goes live, you call the customer 5 days after it's live. Hey, Mr. Customer, are you happy? And just making sure you close the loop on that. Then one of our other bigger customers in Australia, again, you know, telcos, as everybody, absolutely focused on NPS. Feeds into kind of probably the CEO's bonus plan as well, which gives it a lot of visibility throughout the organisation. You know, and when that happens, you know, a lot of lights go off for a lot of people, and that absolutely happened with these guys. And it was great to see, you know, from a negative, well, it was just negative NPS score to now a very positive NPS score in double digits again. And it was providing that service around product, simple, making it really simple, making it being really easy to deal with, but letting them get in touch with you when they're ready and on their times, but you can give them a nudge. That was acceptable. It's not about hounding them over the phone, just, you know, through technology, just giving them a nudge. You know, and I think for these guys, the Australian market, we went initially, we went with a product offering which we drove, and service model which we drove. We thought the market was ready for it, and you know, we went with a do it with me model. So it wasn't DIY, wasn't DIFM, do it for me. We went with a do it with me model. We built a customer portal, which we've then learned from that as well around what are the best types of customer portals to build, and giving customers customer dashboards as well as sales with sales dashboards. But we realised that the concept of do it with me was not that market was not ready for it yet. You know, so we had to tone down the do it with me element and move it more to do it for me element, but through the AI, not through the AI, but through the UX piece within the framework of the portal, so that we enabled the customer to navigate in a more meaningful and easy way, was really interesting. And when we made those subtle changes to the portal and the dynamics of how the customer interacted with that portal, that also gave an immediate uplift, one, in sales coming through, but two, in the customer experience. And they were absolutely rapt that within this product line that the NPS score was probably the highest that they'd ever received within that organisation. And again, technology driven. So just in closing, you know, I think that improving your NPS score, you know, is about providing technology and tools to your organisation, and service layers that make sense to your customers, and those that end up winning are the ones that started focusing on that at a very early stage. So would encourage you, if you aren't already, to have a really strong NPS strategy, because it links directly to your brand. And if you take your brand seriously, that's where you need to be going. Thank you.
Good.
Yeah. So, sorry. I don't know. Okay, we'll wait till the end.
Do you want me to sit over there? Thank you.
Here and then questions after Ryan, and then we do
I'll
both.
do up
Yeah.
Ryan, I'll do up
Okay.
Ryan, let's see.
Okay. Thanks very much. I think it's been sending some challenging questions. Ryan, I want to invite now Ryan Shawaf, who is a VP from Orange Local at Orange Group in France, and he's going to give you another perspective on the customer experience change that they have gone through with a big telco-based operation in France. Ryan?
Thank you, Stephanie. We just finished with Peter about one telco. I'm going to talk about another telco, Orange. You know us, of course, we are one of the 3 leading European telco and also in Africa. But we are also another activity, Orange Local, what I manage, which is number 2 for directory assistance. It still exists. Number 2 is web audience, and we have got a lot, many SMBs customer for visibility. We market to them websites, SEM, SEO, and so on, like many of you. Let's talk about value. What's a brand? Peter talked a lot about brand value. Now, brand is its value coming from the customer experience it delivers. Something which is useful and relevant for the customer. When I might cite some Forrester research, a better customer experience drives revenue growth. So it's better like this. Also, just I'll show you different tools we are using in Orange, and after how we apply it to our own business, local Orange Local. About tools, I said we have to be relevant and to help the customer, which can be seen through proof points. There's no promise, no words, just proof points. We commit and we deliver. At Orange, we try to focus on 6 different types of proof points in every product, every service. Reliability. We provide a secure and efficient solution to our customer, SMB, big customer. Availability. We are available. We made us available every time. Simplicity is strong value for us. Orange is a square. It's simple. Adaptation. To adapt to any situation, any customer. Anticipation. We have to know what it does mean. And accountability. To have a good proof point, it has to have an impact on the customer. Customer should notice this point. It should have impact on him. It should value Orange, and to make it a good and useful proof point, you have to measure and to make it easy to explain. Another tool we talked about before. It's customer journey. Customer journey, it's very important. You have to think it all the time. At the beginning, before creating the product or the service, at the design phase, but every day after doing the improvement, you can improve current customer journey, taking into consideration the input you get from customers, the feedback, or data you get. And you can also anticipate, as I said before, ideate an overall experience and the next customer journey. So we try to use, this is the full customer journey, from search, discovering to re-engagement. So the buying is just at the beginning. There's many things after buying. You have to think on every different step, and to focus to create those moments, the key moments, the 2 types of key moments. The must-have moments. There's some things you can't miss unless you're lost, and sometimes it's the arrangement. And then green, you can add some green ones, which differentiate you from the competition. Those are general tools used at Orange generally. What about Orange Local? First, we have first level, it's the customer. We add more customer everywhere. We focus on customer. Secondly, I always talk about data. Data is centric. And third, more collaboration within the team. Customer. We commit. We develop the customer committed culture to be really customer centric. It's easy to say, not easy to make. To give the customer the power. The customer, what does the customer want? He just wants autonomy. He wants to be able to choose what he wants. Just it. And so, for example, let's take the one-hour journey, the buy journey. We can adapt to a customer a bit old-fashioned, want to sign a paper, or a customer who are more digitalized. We dematerialized everything, the signature and the contract, everything is by email. To use, the customer can use as doing himself, self-caring, or we can help him over the phone to do his website, to do his campaign, and so on. The contact, it's a multi-channel, omni-channel. Now there's not only one contact way, and you have to open all those contacts and always knowing what happens in the other channels. Second, now how to balance that? Because the aim is value, as I said at the beginning. Just focus on the right value for the right customer. Just give value according what customers pays. For example, for all customers, we offer some digital self-care. So this is quite not too expensive to deliver. And we can adapt to bigger customers, premium customers, with more care, more agent care, with different agents, experts, and also more time. This is a way to preserve value, but there's another way. And in fact, it can be good also. It's just not always counting, just sometimes giving time to the customer, and you return the value. So you have to find a balance, I think, between those two ways. Second field of transformation for us, it was data. Data, we have a lot of data, everyone has got a lot of data. What we need here is to put everything in one place, linked to the customer relation system management. We use Salesforce, dedicated to our activity. Which is very useful because it's used by everyone in the chain, the sales, the production, the support, the billing, the retention team. Everyone knows about what this customer had as history before, products and so on. So very efficient. And we share dashboard, we choose KPIs. About KPIs, well, there's NPS, Peter. That's true, it's a good one, but that's very important. But this other, you have to select for every field. For example, the sales, the web, also visibility, different KPIs for web analytics, for also customer. About the UX, the customer experience, user experience, you have different score. Also, we choose some KPIs. I'm not sharing because we have got not so much time now. And last way to transform ourselves is agility in a collective way, because it's a team. We have to work as a team. I said customer centric, but all around the customer. So to stop the chimneys we can have, so building ourselves as a team, doing in workshops, one roof team, empower each one as a project owner to be more agile and to anticipate, adapt, and be reliable as to offer the touch proof. And also to make a team, we sometimes do games. Here's a photo of our last escape game some months ago. We escaped, so it was a success. Last, to conclude, it's about customer management, value of customer management. What is the total value? It's not only customer management, it's not the cost only. It's a cost. We have to just measure the cost and to monitor the cost. But it helps you, good customer management helps you to reduce the churn, so to get more value, and there's opportunity for upsell. This is the addition of it is the total value, I guess, and customers, all our customers should be kept in contact with, all of them. You should interact with every customer. Value comes from interaction. So I think thank you very much for it. So we're open to questions.
Thank you. So now open the floor for questions. Nick.
Hi, so nice job, guys. This is for Peter, I think. So you talked about the technology and tools, right, that are sort of underpinnings of NPS. I was just wondering if you could comment on the sort of the softer side of this, right? It seems to me that to be effective, you need to have a lot of alignment around certain behaviors, compensation. There's a whole sorts of underpinnings that I think you probably need to have to make this stuff really work. So can you talk about some of those softer side critical success factors as you take this journey?
Yeah, sure. Our experience isn't so yes, from a compensation perspective, but our experience is we don't necessarily drive sales. So I can't really comment on what drives an NPS for a sales organisation. That said, we have just started to move into that space, so it is something that we are going to focus on. I do know from a previous life, having been a sales director, is that it starts at the coalface, and the way that you train your sales teams, and the way that they are rewarded from a commission system can play into that. But I also go with a school of thought that a commission system shouldn't be the management tool. That's the job of a manager. So I think it's probably more from a cultural perspective on what do you drive within the culture of your organisation. And whilst I think it's great that a CEO might have part of their bonus attached to an NPS piece, I also think that's kind of not that great because it should come from the bottom up. But also typically I think from a sales perspective and front office people, agents that are on the phones, they actually do want to do a good job. They actually do want to do the best that they can do for a customer. So I think it is from going back to technology, I think that if you can provide tools from a tech perspective that enable them to do that, to be the best that they can, that is great. So that's it from my view there. From I suppose overarchingly, my view would be don't try and build in compensation necessarily to drive a behaviour. You can do it from a certain perspective, but I think it needs to be, you get a better result if you drive it from a cultural perspective. And it is training people. It is, and that big focus on training and retraining and retraining. It's not just a 1 hour workshop with a PowerPoint. You've actually got to drive it into the business. And that doesn't happen overnight, and it's not easy. And then the other elements, it's just making sure that people understand the importance of brand, and the how directionally the attachment of NPS to brand, and it's in the messaging, within the business.
I will add a comment.
Can I just,
just
can I add on to that question? Because I have a question for you, Ryan, okay?
Yeah,
I had almost the same question,
Yeah.
Nick, and my question, just to add another scope on that, about the cascading, okay? Because you're talking about Orange and you're talking about Australian Telecom, and I'm sorry when I never think that they ever look at NPS scores, any telecom, okay? But,
Yeah.
I mean, how do you cascade that down? It's the same question. It's not just about the tools, it's about cascading the behavior.
Yeah.
telcos really do focus heavily on NPS, I'll just say, but
I wanted to develop on what Peter said about the sales. I think to preserve your NPS while you have a sale phase, maybe it's not oversell first. This is the main thing. If you oversell, you're lost because after your customer would be disappointed. And also, even before sale, there's something we shouldn't forget is the pressure, marketing pressure. At Orange, we monitor the marketing pressure we put on the customer, on the future customer, the prospection. So we try not to send too many emails a day. I'm joking, to customers. About cascading, well, it's a big question. I think we try to analyze exactly why the NPS is here or there, and we take many steps at everywhere in the organization. It's very big question.
Okay. Well, thanks a lot. These gentlemen are going to be with us tonight, and so if you have any other questions, don't hesitate to grab them. Thanks very much.